guys, welcome to my channel. It's your girl Gigi here on Gigi Watched It. So we're going to be reviewing episode 1 of American Horror Story 1984. I like some seasons more than others, so hopefully this is one of the good seasons that I really enjoy. And for my reviews and recaps, I will be going over the whole episode, so if you have not seen it and you do not like spoilers, do not watch this because I will be discussing the entire episode, okay, and going over what I thought of everything. Okay, so episode 1 is called Camp Redwood, and so in this first episode we're introduced to basically the whole premise of the show, which we knew was going to be like a retro 80s vibe, like seemed very like Friday the 13th, which it kind of is. It doesn't seem like it's connected to any of the past seasons as far as the premise and everything goes. It doesn't seem connected, but you never know with the American Horror Story. So when it first comes on, we are introduced to, well, when the show first comes on, we have 3 teenagers basically getting it on, and I'm assuming they're teenagers and not counselors, or they might be counselors. Let's say that they're the teenagers. They're in the cabin making out 2 girls and 1 guy, and like the one girl and the guy were really into it, and one girl, she was like hesitant about it. She was like, you know, she kind of seemed like she wasn't sure if she wanted to participate or not. They're like making out, and they have a sheet covering the bunk bed. They have a sheet covering the bunk bed, so they're in the camp cabin. And again, this is a kind of like a flashback, so this is like in 1970 something when this scene is happening at the very beginning. And so the one girl who was kind of like, you know, hesitant about it, she keeps hearing like a noise, and she's looking out of the little curtain, makeshift curtain they made around the bunk bed, and she's like, did y'all hear that? And they're like, no. As per usual with these shows and these movies, it's like this, no, I didn't hear anything. You know you heard that, but okay. So like they keep going ahead with it, so she ignores it, and we see someone come into the cabin, and we see the rest of the girls are asleep. So I'm thinking it's gonna be like, I guess like they kill the people that have sex, and like, you know, the virgin lives or something like that. So I'm like, don't do it, girl. He gonna get you if you do it. She ignores the noises that she definitely heard, and they keep doing it. And then as she like pulls back for a second, the other girl and the guy that was kissing, they get stabbed straight through their head. And I was like, oh, okay. And I'm like, run. And like she kind of just like tumbles backwards out of the bunk bed, and she doesn't get a chance to run because like soon she kind of tumbles backwards out of the bunk bed, she falls, and he stabs her in the eye, and she like dies. And I was like, oh, but you know, it's a very horror story, things like this happen. So then it pans out. So I'm like, okay, so he's gonna leave. He killed the people that were, you know, about to have sex, and he's just gonna leave. And no, he had killed everybody before that. Everybody. So we wait. So we see him taking off her ear, and like he collects the ears. It's like a kind of trophy. And so the camera pans out, and you see like girls are littering the floor. There's bodies on the floor everywhere. And so he killed everybody in the cabin, like even the girls that was asleep. And so I was like, oh, maybe he was just killing the teenagers that were having sex or something. That was his thing. Killing the kids that's having sex. But no, he was like, anybody can get it, I guess. And so he killed everybody, and then he takes their ear as trophy, and he walks out. He grabs keys are jingling, and that's, you know, that's that. He walks out. That's the opening sequence. Then we're introduced to our main characters for this season. So it comes up. So like soon as the next scene comes up, it's like now 1984. It's very 80s. I love the whole vibe. We're at an aerobics class, and everybody is exercising. You know, exercise aerobics in the 80s was lots of like pelvic thrusting. I just think of Jamie Lee Curtis in that movie. But yeah, so we see Emma Roberts, who is playing Brooke, and we meet Chet, Billy Lord, who is playing Montana, and Ray. So we meet all these people that are in this exercise class, and I assume that they know each other, but you find out later everyone knew each other in that class except for Brooke. She is new in town, so she didn't know any of them. And within the whole like little snippet we get of the class, Brooke and Chet are looking at each other, kind of like, you know, giving each other the eye, or she was mostly looking at him, and he was, you know, trying to be sexy and stuff. So like I said, Brooke Emma Roberts' character is new in town, and she doesn't know any of them. And it's interesting to see Emma Roberts play this like kind of like Violet type of role. Like she usually in the American Horror Story universe, you know, I just think of her so much as Madison now, but she's playing more like the kind of like subdued shy girl in this season. Brooke and Montana introduces herself to Brooke while she's in the shower, and Brooke is kind of like, you know, I'm trying to shower here, and Montana's like, hey girl, what's up? Okay, and so that's how they, you know, initially meet. And so after they shower after the exercise class, Montana introduces her to the rest of the gang, which is Chet, Ray, and Xavier, who was the actor that played Michael in Apocalypse. Xavier is going ahead and telling them about like the string of murders that has been happening in LA, and that he's leaving LA because he's like, I'm not staying here. It's dangerous out here in these streets. And so he's like, I'm going to someplace safe. I'm going to be a camp counselor at this summer camp this summer, and I'm going to avoid the city and the drama and the violence of the city. And so they're all like, oh yeah, we with you, let's go with you, we gonna go with him. I was like, so people just make whole decisions for their whole summer in like 2 seconds like that? We didn't discuss it. You gotta make no arrangements to see if it'll work out. They were just like, yeah, we coming too. So they all decide they going to be camp counselors at this. Like, did nobody put in no application or nothing? They just was all camp counselors. Xavier said come, and everybody got the job, I guess. And so Brooke is like, no guys, like first of all, she just met them. Like, you don't even know them, so like I don't I don't know. But she doesn't know them or whatever. So she's like, no, I have you know, I have school, I'm about to start school and everything like that. And they're like, oh, okay, well, Montana's like, here's my number if you change your mind. When Xavier was telling them about the murders that's happening in LA and like people, you know, houses getting broken into, he says like the person is getting into these people's house through open windows, because people leave their windows open in the summertime, you know, because it's hot. So later that night, Brooke is sleeping in her bed, and she's sleeping, and I see the windows open. So I'm like, so yeah, somebody's about to come in through the window. I'm sure of it. And first of all, I don't care how hot it is. I'm not leaving a window open. The window was right above her head. Like, she's laying in her bed asleep, and the window is like right where her head is, and it's open. Never. I would never. I wouldn't even be able to sleep. I'm so paranoid. And then you just heard the story a few hours ago that people out here getting killed or like their house broken into because somebody is coming through the windows. And you think it's smart to leave the window open? This is not real life. Yeah, so of course somebody comes in through the window. This guy, kind of tall guy, like shaggy dark hair, and he comes in and he's like, you know, give me your jewelry, give me what you got. And she, you know, she's scared, of course, because somebody just like broke in. And she's like, you know, she don't have nothing much, but she gives him what she has. And then it seemed like he was about to kill her. I was like, why? And so she basically fights him off. Somebody's gonna come, like somebody's outside, like they're gonna come and help her because they hear the commotion. And basically he's running away, but as he's leaving, he's like, I'm gonna get you, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna kill you. But I'm just like, why? Just count this one as a loss and leave. Like, why do you need to come back and kill her? She don't got nothing. You saw she didn't have anything. So what is the problem? So yeah, so he's like, I'm gonna come back and kill you. Be warned, I'm gonna come back and kill you. So he leaves. And she's like, what? as I was. And so because of this, you know, whole situation, confrontation or whatever with this LA killer, she's like, yeah, I'm going to summer camp. She's like, I'm out of here. So she decides she's going with the other kids or the other group of people to the summer camp to be one of the camp counselors. So that's where we at now. We're on our way to Camp Redwood. So as they're driving, they stop at this gas station to get gas fill up, and the attendant, he hears them talking about Camp Redwood, and that's where they're going to be counselors. And he's like, oh no, don't go to Camp Redwood. They should have closed that place down. Don't go there. You all gonna die. And they keep going. I'm just like, no. Like, I don't care how crazy like a person seems. These are warning signs to me. I am a paranoid person. And if someone tells me, yeah, that's crazy what happened at that summer camp all them years ago, don't go there, you gonna die. And whether I think somebody's gonna kill me or this particular person is gonna kill me, I'm not going there. Like, you know, either he's saying somebody is gonna kill me at that camp or he's gonna kill me at that camp. Either way, I'm not going. So like, this season of the show would have been over real fast if it was depending on what I would do. They still decide to go. And I was like, okay. They keep driving and they end up hitting something in the road. So Xavier, Brooke, Montana, everybody gets out the car like, what happened? What what was that noise? What did we hit? And it turns out it was somebody in the road. It was a guy there, and he's like kind of like knocked out a little bit. And Xavier's like, no, he was already there. We didn't hit him. He's just like making sure like, I didn't do this. We didn't do this. We should just leave him. He's fine. And so he wakes up and he's like kind of, incoherent. And they're like, we need to get him help because like his head's banged up. He just looked like he got hit by a car. And so Xavier's like, we'll take him back to camp with us and get him some help. But just know we didn't do this. They finally all get to the camp, and it's not that big of a camp. I mean, it looks like it's about, from what I could see, just in this episode, it looked like it was only a couple of cabins and it's in the middle of nowhere. Most camps, like, where's the like fields and stuff, but I don't know. The camp looked ominous to be already. It looked ominous to begin with. So like some stuff was bound to go down at this creepy looking camp. So they get to camp and Margaret comes out and she's like, she's the owner and welcome to Camp Redwood. And they said it's only 5 of them, and so they're the only camp counselors. And I was just like, who's sending their kids here? And is this a free camp? Because that gotta be the only way people come in if it's a free camp. They take the guy that they hit with the car to the infirmary so like he could get seen to. And as they're doing this, that's when they do get the like tour of the whole camp. So Margaret basically tells them like, no funny business at this camp. Girls over here, guys over here. I don't want no drama, and just keep it wholesome. That's basically what she tells them. And they're like, no. We young and we ready to get down. And she's like, not in my camp. So later at the camp, no one's here. The kids are supposed to be coming the next day. No one's there except the new counselors, Margaret, the nurse who runs the infirmary. There was like a chef lady, but we didn't see her after they introduced her. And the one guy who's still in the infirmary. The nurse decides to give them like kind of an overview of what happened here at the camp all those years ago and about the murders and the guy who killed everyone, which was Mr. Jingles. That was his name, and because the keys jingle. And that he killed everybody in the cabin. He slaughtered 10 people. And then he cut off all their ears and strung them around his neck like a necklace as like his little souvenir. The camera's kind of like look like it's watching them, like someone is looking at them. And it turns out it was Margaret. We can assume that it was Margaret because she comes out of the woods and she's like, actually it was 9 people that died, tell the story right. And apparently she was the only survivor. And when he killed everybody in that cabin that we saw, she pretended to be dead so that she took herself out of body so that she can not react when he cut her ear off. She pulls back her hair and her ear is missing. Margaret's telling them how she's the only survivor in the whole incident and how she had to pretend to be dead so that he wouldn't kill her. But he did cut off her ear and she didn't even move at all. And I was like, you strong. She was one of the key witnesses in his trial. She testified and he went to a mental institution. That's where he has been. As all this is happening, we get a little flash of the man in the infirmary that they put in there that got hit by the car. He's in the infirmary and he wakes up and he's just looking terrified and frightened, and you're like, what happened, bro? And it looks like he kind of pulled back his ear and we see that his ear got cut off, and I'm like, what? So I think we saw, maybe I'm tripping, it looked like his ear was cut off, but I'm not sure. So Brooke comes to the infirmary. Brooke is Emma Roberts, and she comes to the infirmary to, you know, to check on him. And when she goes to check on him, he's looking frantic. He's standing up. And he's like, we shouldn't be here. You shouldn't be here. Because she tells him we are at Camp Redwood. And he's like, oh, no, we got to get out of this place. And I'm like, what? Because Mr. Jingles has been locked up for all these years. So what is he so afraid of? Like, you know, because, you know, it looked like he had been running away from somewhere or whatever. So what exactly is he scared of if Mr. Jingles has been locked up this whole time? And so she tells him, go back to sleep. It's okay. You're safe. Nobody's here. And when she said that, me as the patient, I'm already out of my mind scared because like he was frantic. And do you think I'm going back to sleep to lay down in this dark wooded cabin in the middle of nowhere by myself, because nobody is in this cabin with him. They put him in there. They're in a whole separate cabin chilling. So if anything, I'm going with you. And even though I'm sick and I be bleeding all over the place, I'm staying in your cabin with you. Y'all not about to leave me in this cabin by myself. But whatever. So he stays in the cabin. He's like, okay. Like basically like he listens to her and tries to lay back down and go to sleep. Couldn't be me. So Brooke leaves and goes to the other cabin where her new friends are that she just met, and she's telling them like the hiker, the guy that they hit, the hiker says we should not be here. You know, he was acting a little cray, and you know, I'm getting bad vibes. They're not really, you know, heeding anything she's saying really. While they're talking, Trevor comes in. He's the activities director, and he comes in. Trevor, and I'm looking at him like he looks so familiar, and then I look at him long enough like, oh, it's Mr. Schuster. It was Mr. Schuster from Glee. Ryan Murphy, I love that he reuses like the people that's in the other shows with him. I just like seeing different people that you recognize from these other shows as well. So Trevor is the activities director, and he comes in. And he's basically like bantering with them. He's like making eyes and flirting with Montana, which is played by Billy Lord's character. So you're kind of like, something about to happen there. So we get it like flashes to Trevor's walking on the dock by himself, and Billy Lord is in the water. So she's in the water naked, and Trevor's getting naked up on the dock, and they're gonna go skinny dipping. And this is how all these shows and movies, when people go skinny dipping, you get killed. We just heard a murder story about this whole camp. It would not be me. And they're getting like frisky in the water or whatever. And while he's like under the water, she sees a car in the distance up on the cliff, flashes lights at her, and then she basically tells him like, get up, let's go. But she doesn't really say that the car flashes lights at her, because only she saw it while she was waiting in the water. And I don't know why she didn't mention it to him. Maybe that'll come out later, that she knows who the person was on the cliff. Later that night, we go to the mental institution. Patients from the mental institution are like on the lawn and everything, and the warden or director or whatever you want to call it of the institution, it seemed like, is confused about how everybody got out of their cells and what's happening. And the guy, one of the people in charge of the institution, is like, everybody's accounted for except we can't find Mr. Jingles. I don't know where he is, but I'm sure we're gonna find him. And I'm like, I need more alarm in your tone. What's the definition of a serial killer? The mass murderer is on the loose. We need to this needs to be more of a pressing issue. But yeah, so they're like, he can't get too far. We'll find him. It kind of does a couple 3-hour rewind and tells what happened. As far as Mr. Jingles going missing, he was an orderly of the mental institution was feeding him, and I guess he looked, or like giving him his pills. They put the pills through the door, but when he looked through the door, he saw that Mr. Jingles was hanging, and so the orderly went in there, I guess, like, thinking he was dead, and he got like this close to him, and I guess he was gonna try to cut him down or something, and then Mr. Jingles opened his eyes and of course killed the orderly. The orderly is dead. Mr. Jingles killed him, and so he just pretended to be dead so the guy could come inside the cell, unlock it, and Mr. Jingles can take them keys and he can hop up out of there. And so it turns out Mr. Jingles had like a news clipping in his bed when they went into his cell. It was a news clipping, so he found out that the camp was reopening, which might have sparked his desire to want to escape. And so he really so when he killed the orderly, he picked up the orderly's keys and he was just like jingling them, and it really like gave him a sense of calm and peace. He was just like so Mr. Jingles is on the loose. He's on the loose and he out here. Hide your kids. So then I guess to just create more of a commotion so he can escape, and he unleashes the cell doors, like unlocks the cell doors, so that's how all the patients and everybody escapes, and how everybody ends up on the lawn and out of their cells. We fast forward, go to the next scene. We see the gas station attendant from earlier, the one that warned them that not to go to the camp. He is like fixing his car. He's like, it's like a middle of a storm, pouring down raining outside. He got the garage door open for his shop, and he is underneath the car, like they're on those little boards that slide under the car mechanics, and he's fixing something underneath the car. And I'm like, okay, so my man is about to get killed. Obviously he's in route to the camp, and Mr. Jingles is en route to the camp, so he's gonna pass him. Raining, all this stuff, and he hears noise, and he's like, anybody there? Anybody there? And I'm like, yes, it's Mr. Jingles, and he's here to kill you. And so he's underneath the car, and then we see Mr. Jingles' feet, and he's like, stop, what you doing? And Mr. Jingles kicks out the, what's it called? The jack thing, the jack that holds the car up. He kicks out the jack, and the guy's trying to, hurry up and push out, get from underneath that car before the car falls on him. And Mr. Jingles knocked the jack out, and the car, of course, falls on him, but it like gets his his lower body. So like he's got blood spurting out of his mouth, and just to add insult to injury, it seemed like the guy was gonna die anyway, but Mr. Jingles had to kick him in the face, like stomp on his head. And I was like, there was no need, sir. There was no need. He killed the gas station attendant. Mr. Jingles on his way to the summer camp now. The next scene is we go back to the group of counselors, and they're, just watching TV and chilling, and they're watching like a race. And Chet, he used to be in the Olympics, but he got kicked out for using drugs, or his drug test came back positive for drugs, and he's, really angry when he watches sports and stuff, so he got real emotional and angry, and he threw his pop can or beer can at Ray, which is one of the other counselors, and it hit Ray, and it cut him. It hit him and it cut him. And he's like, you need to calm it down, take it down a couple notches. You acting crazy. And so, they had a little argument, and so Ray storms out to get a bandage, because he is cut. I'm like, oh man, we just met Ray. I don't want Ray to die. Not yet. Don't do it to Ray. So I'm thinking like Ray's about to definitely get killed. And we see now that Mr. Jingles is on the campgrounds. He is there somewhere. So Brooke goes out to help Ray with his cut that's on his hand. And she's like, I'm gonna get you some bandages and stuff and some supplies. And so she goes to the infirmary to get some supplies for him. And but frankly, we can go together. Like, I don't need to go get the supplies by myself. This is for you. So let's go. I help you. We both go on the buddy system. Let's go together. She goes by herself to the infirmary to get bandages for Ray, and I guess also to check on the hiker maybe. And when she goes in there, she's looking, and she sees on the back of the door, the hiker done been strung up on the back of the door. He is dead. And she starts screaming, she's like, oh my God, he dead. She's like, oh my God. So she look out the window. Somebody's out in the window with a trench coat on in the middle of the rain. Alarming enough. Definitely is Mr. Jingles. She starts running. She books it. She's running, and of course, she falls at least 100 times. She falls because we just can't have a straight shooter run straight and not fall. We have to put some obstacles for them, I guess. And so she runs, she trips, she falls in the mud, she's covered in dirt, and so she does, and then we like, Mr. Jingle's right behind you, hurry up. And so she gets to the cabin where all her friends are, and she's like, he's outside, he's trying to kill me, y'all. And they're like, you know, what are you talking about? And she's like, somebody's trying to trace me and kill me. They done killed the hiker. They all get up and they like grab something, and the guys go outside. Trevor, Ray, and Chet, they go outside, and they don't see anybody. They're like, nobody's out there. You know, you might have just got a contact high from when we were smoking or whatever. And so she's like, no, for sure somebody's trying to kill me. So she takes them to the infirmary, and they don't find the hiker's body that was on the back of the door or anything, and they're like, he's not here, he must have just left. But if I tell you that I saw the hiker dead and we also can't find the body, that's suspicious. Like, it would have been different if like I thought I saw it and then we came back and he was actually sitting there on the bed asleep, then okay. But if I told you I saw his body, and when we get there there's nobody there and he's missing, I'm not gonna be like, oh, he must have left. No, I'll be like, oh, you might have been right. Let's get out of here, you know? But no, they're like, oh, you must have imagined it because ain't nobody here. And so it's okay. And then she turns around, and so they're like, you know, maybe it was just your imagination. And so they're getting ready to leave, and then they open the door and they see somebody outside in a trench coat. But it turns out that person is Margaret that was outside. So they're like, see, you were just imagining the whole thing. That never even happened. But for me, like, forget all them. I just met you all. I just met all of y'all. Like, Uber's not a thing then in 1984, but cabs are, right? Like, I'm calling somebody and I'm leaving. My story would be over so quick. But like, it's like, I don't know, y'all. I don't have, like, I done told you, I done warned you, you have chose not to accept what I am saying, so I'm gonna go home. That's it, that's all. But yeah, so she stays. I guess she's thinking like, maybe I did kind of imagine it. Maybe it was just in my imagination that I saw what I thought I saw. So she just laying in the cabin. They're all, I guess, going to sleep, and she's laying in the cabin, and then she hears the phone ring, like a payphone that's outside of the cabin. Again, it could be me. I would have heard the payphone. I'd have been like, that's strange. I'm gonna ignore it. But she like gets out of bed, and she tries to wake up Montana, and Montana wakes up with a knife, and she's like, what you got a knife for? And she's like, Montana, a payphone ringing, let's go check it out. Like, what? So Montana is like, not about that. She's like, you know, basically, I'm asleep, leave me alone. So Brooke decides, you know, she's gonna go outside and check on the payphone by herself. The payphone, she can see from her window, so I guess she's like, you know, I'm right there, the cabin's right there, I'm right here, so it's not that far, so maybe it's not that scary, but, you know, I wouldn't have checked on it. Like, they'll hang up when I don't answer. They'll hang up when don't nobody come to the phone, whoever it is. But she goes out into, like, the dark gloominess of this wooded, deserted camp, and she answers the payphone. She's like, hello, hello, hello. And nobody answers. Nobody answers. As she's like on the payphone, her back is turned, we see the guy from LA that tried to kill her, that broke into her house. He comes out of the trees, and we see him creeping. We see him creeping towards her, and then that's the end of the episode. It cuts off, and I'm like, okay. So, how he found out where she was? How? And this is 1984, so even less resources than now. How he have found out? But somehow he done tracked her, or maybe it's not connected. I don't know. But my thoughts on this episode, it was pretty okay for a starter episode. I do think that maybe, like, these are my little predictions or whatever, maybe her, I don't know, maybe someone set it up for him to break into her apartment to get Brooke to come to that camp, because she wouldn't have came to that camp if she wasn't so scared after that person broke into her apartment. So maybe someone put it together for that person to break into her apartment so that she would want to come and get away and go to the summer camp. So that's one of my theories. I don't know. And Xavier, super shady, the one that was driving the truck, the one that was the first one to get a job as a camp counselor there and kind of like roped everybody else into getting it, into working there. Why was the hiker so scared if Mr. Jingle's been locked up? What is Mr. Jingle's reason for killing people? Because he has no, like, he just likes killing? Is that what it is? I don't know. He's just like, you know, you get killed, you get killed, and you get killed. So, like, there seems to be no, like, rhyme or reason he just killed anybody in my path. Margaret is also very weird. Like, she's just one of the survivors, but, like, it could be a Saw situation, you know? Like, you were his victim and now you like work for him or something. I don't know. I'm just talking. But this episode was okay. It was a starter episode, so we had to get introduced to all the characters and, you know, understand the plot and everything and what's going down. So in that sense, it was good. I'm excited to start bringing you guys these American Horror Story reviews and recaps. I will be doing weekly reviews of American Horror Story and my other shows. I might not be able to do it the night that the episode comes out, but I'll do it within that week so that it is available before the new episode premieres. So thanks again for watching. It's your girl Gigi, and I'll see you on my next video.